So Saturday morning, we sat down and talked about a major prospect set to visit Colorado as five-star defensive back Charles Lester out the state of Florida made his way from Florida to Colorado. And per all reports, Lester enjoyed his time there. And if that was the only news that Colorado fans would have gotten exiting the weekend, they'd be riding a high. Luckily for them, though, we need to talk about the avalanche of commitments that Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes got exiting the weekend. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and given Saturday we talked about Charles Lester, do you believe Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes can land the very talented five-star defensive back? I can't wait to hear from you. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. We do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself, and we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And let's start with Charles Lester. I know we talked about him on Saturday, so we're just going to briefly talk about this and then move on to the three commitments that Colorado fans need to be very excited about. And Charles Lester enjoying his time in Colorado is not a surprise. One thing we need to understand is the level of intrigue around Colorado and Coach Prime right now. It's at an all-time high, and understandably so. Prospects want to take the trip to Boulder to see what it's all about. They want to see what this pitch is. And this is a situation that Colorado was not in a year ago. They did not have five-star defensive backs taking the trip from Florida to Boulder just to see what it's all about. That's the power of what Coach Prime is bringing to the table, and that's why so many people are so interested. So to answer the question I posed in the intro, can Coach Prime get Charles Lester, the five-star defensive back out the state of Florida? And far be it from me to say no to that whenever he got Travis Hunter out the state of Florida, who is a five-star defensive back, whenever he got Kermani McLean out the state of Florida, who is a five-star defensive back, and you've probably realized the pattern here, but now we're on year 3, and I'm certainly not going to be the one to say that Coach Prime can't do a three-peat for five-star defensive backs. This is a situation we have got to watch closely. There are other schools pushing, such as Florida State and the Alabama Crimson Tide, so we're going to be keeping up with this Charles Lester recruitment battle going forward very closely. Stay tuned for that. But now, let's transition. Let's talk about the 3 additions Colorado got this weekend, because these are additions that are going to excite the Buffaloes fan base, and we're going to start with a position that every time I talk about Coach Prime's work in the transfer portal, Coach Prime's work in recruiting, I get comments asking me this question, and deservedly so. I understand it. What about the trenches? What about the offensive line? What about the defensive line? And make no mistake, this staff agrees. They're cognizant to the needs they have in front of them, which is why they have ferociously attacked the defensive line and offensive line through the transfer portal and continue to do so in the class of 2024. And the first name we have got to address is none other than Brandon Davis-Swain, a top 300 prospect in all of high school football that plays along the defensive line, a prospect that institutions like Michigan really wanted, but he ends up committing to the Colorado Buffaloes. Look, this is a big-time win. Anytime you can get wins over the likes of the Michigan Wolverines for a guy that's in their state, you love it, especially when that is a need. We talk all the time. If you want to win football games, controlling the trenches, controlling the line of scrimmage, that's a pretty good indication as to who will win that football game. It allows you to do multiple things. On the offensive side, you can grind down the clock, you can play control, or you can give your quarterback a beautiful pocket to operate from. It allows you to unlock every facet of your offense. Defensively, the opposite is true. You can cut down on the opposing team's time of possessions. You can make it to where those running lanes, they're not clean, and that quarterback, he doesn't know what a clean pocket is. And that's the goal whenever you're getting these blue chip top 300 guys. And we also need to understand Colorado is not in a position to be receiving commitments from a Brandon Davis-Swain. If we go back a year ago, this would have broke the internet. If Colorado would have beaten Michigan for a top 300 prospect that just so happened to be located in the state of Michigan, that would have broke the internet because people would have been perplexed. Now, we look at it and say, that's impressive. But we've almost become desensitized to the work that Coach Prime is putting in, and he hasn't coached a game yet. There is no arguing. This is a big win for the Colorado Buffaloes. Brandon Davis-Swain stands 6'3", 263 pounds, going in to his senior year. He continues to put on the weight. He continues to work on his craft. This is going to be a player we talk about in the very near future. I guarantee you that. But now we transition to the offensive side of the ball, where Zycarl Lewis, the wide receiver who stands 5'10" and 160 pounds, also commits to the Colorado Buffaloes. And this is an exciting prospect. He may be just outside the top 300 prospects in the nation, but make no mistake, this guy is electric with the ball in his hands. Now, he's listed at wide receiver, where he stands, like I said, 5'10", 160 pounds, but we need to understand the versatility he brings to the table. This is a guy that you can move all along the wide receiver formation. Personally, I think when he gets to the next level, he is going to operate out the slot and provide a lot. He gets active in the return game, whether that be punt return, kick return. He gets active in the rushing game, and I love when I see players like this that are gadget guys, especially when they're going to transition to the slot, because they have an increased understanding of multiple different positions, and that can be really conducive to success for him to try and find spots to get open, especially against his own defense. And I know we're going really into the weeds here in football talk right now, and I apologize, but this is what we do, right? Especially against his own defense, because guys that have played multiple other positions on that offense, whether it's wide receivers that have spent time at quarterback, running back, they're more understanding of what to look for. And I think that Lewis is a guy that has a ton of versatility, and they're going to look to utilize that. The other thing about this commitment that I'm super interested in is who the wide receiver coach for Colorado is, Brett Bardlone, who was Jackson State's offensive coordinator when Jackson State put up massive numbers. So I can imagine that's a compelling pitch for him to sit there and say, hey, we just put up huge numbers in the passing game at Jackson State. Now I'm going to be your wide receiver coach. And oh yeah, Sean Lewis is the offensive coordinator. That does seem like a compelling pitch to me. And finally, sticking on the offensive side of the ball, we have Micah Welch, the 3-star running back who stands 5'9", 210 pounds, and this is a do-it-all type running back. He's a bruiser. The low center of gravity but high weight allows him to bounce off tackles without losing a ton of explosiveness. He can get up to top speed quickly. This is the type of guy that's going to be efficient through the tackles as he can bounce in and out of them, and that was shown. During his junior season, he ran for 1,300 yards and averaged over 6 yards per carry. So this is a great addition. We know what that Sean Lewis offense does, especially at the running back position. So being able to stack up running backs is going to be good for long-term success for the Colorado Buffaloes. And this is a running back that I think they need to be very excited about. So what does this mean for Colorado's class as a whole before we get out of here? Well, we're in June, and they already rank as a top 30 recruiting class in the nation with nothing but time and opportunity in front of them. And I understand that, once again, there's nothing but time and opportunity in front of this recruiting class, but it is impressive that this was a team that was 1-11 last year and is a top 30 recruiting class without a game having been played. That's the power of what Coach Prime is bringing to the table. So you can believe in it, you cannot believe in it, you can like it, you cannot like it, but one thing you have to understand and one thing you have to acknowledge is that results are being shown already. It's just going to be very interesting to see the results on the field. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.